Do you will give a overview of public Wi-Fi in Korea and talk a little bit about the case of city buses Wi-Fi in South Korea, and Hyun-baek will follow up on it and look at the case with some indicators from international organizations like United Nations. And Dang-woo will try to analyze this case with the theory of SCOT, social construction of technology. I will follow up on it and close the presentation. So, do you please go ahead.
The government of Korea started to install free Wi-Fi service in many public places in the year 2012. The free Wi-Fi service was provided by the national government, especially from the Ministry of Science and ICT, local government, and telecommunication companies. Telecommunication companies are KT, SKT, and LG Uplus. The free Wi-Fi provided by three suppliers are available at public places such as community centers, welfare facilities, markets, public buses, and many more. The free Wi-Fi services were usually installed in public places where the underprivileged people frequently visit. This free Wi-Fi service started in 2012, and the number of installed free Wi-Fi increased steadily until 2015. In 2016 and 17, this service did not progress with a much smaller number of free Wi-Fi, which were lesser than initial installed Wi-Fi in 2012. However, in 2019, free Wi-Fi service was installed considerably, and it was greatly installed in 2020. Korea has established a free nationwide wireless internet network in public buses for the first time in the world, according to the Ministry of Science and ICT. On the left side of the picture, there's a poster attached to the window of the bus. It informs people who use buses that they can use free Wi-Fi in the bus, so people can access to the internet easily. Free Wi-Fi buses in Korea were installed in all administrative districts. The biggest district where installed buses with free Wi-Fi is Gyeonggi District. Even though Seoul is the capital city of Korea and has the biggest population among 17 total districts, the area of Gyeonggi District is larger than Seoul, so Gyeonggi District has the largest number of free Wi-Fi buses.
So this free Wi-Fi buses project was a 3-year project that's implemented annually every year from 2018 to 2020. And the national government, the Ministry of Science and ICT, signs a 3-year lease agreement with the telecommunication companies every year. For instance, the first-year project signed in 2018 will expire this year, 2021. And the local government installed 5,906 buses with free public Wi-Fi. And in 2018, the national government installed 4,200 buses. And in 2019, the largest number of buses, 19,800 buses, were equipped with free Wi-Fi. And last year, 5,100 buses were equipped with Wi-Fi to finish the project. And this is the communication device penetration rate in Korea. And as you can see, from 2016 to 2020, the number of households carrying a smartphone has steadily increased, while the number of households carrying regular cell phones or an MP3 player has continued to decrease, which means that the benefits from free public Wi-Fi has just grown and grown. And the economic benefit from free Wi-Fi buses is estimated to be about 220 billion Korean won, or about 200 million US dollars for the next 3 years, which translates to about 5.5 million US dollars monthly. And this number is actually different from the one in our abstract because the one we found initially was found to be incorrect. And this is the 2020 United Nations Electronic Government Survey. in which Korea placed top 5 in all 4 surveys. But the technological aspect, the electronic government, and the telecommunications infrastructure indexes, Korea kind of fell off and placed 2nd and 4th. But in the social aspect, the online services and the electronic participation, which is like how much the citizens actually participate electronically, Korea placed 1st place in both, which just shows that the real benefits from free public Wi-Fi, how important they are to the country.
So now we're analyzing free Wi-Fi buses by using social construction of technology theory. And there are 3 relevant social groups, and these groups that we identified are a policymaker, a service provider, and users. And policymakers are the national government and local governments, and their duties are governing and taking the responsibility, funding and evaluating this free Wi-Fi. And then service providers are the telecommunication companies, and their responsibilities are installing the free Wi-Fi on buses, and then maintaining the cost, and then security for our users, and then making the profits. And finally, the users are the citizens of Korea, and they're able to get beneficiaries from a reduced bill, and then able to have constant internet access, and then later they can provide feedback. And generally, interests agree rather than conflict among the groups, but sometimes governments and telecommunication companies have difficulty reaching agreement on cost and benefits. And based on the SCOT theory, each group has a different view of free Wi-Fi on buses, called interpretive flexibility. First, policymaker wants to prioritize their policy agenda and appeal to voters on a parliamentary election, and then they also wants to see an ambition to be the world first by installing free Wi-Fi on buses. Although the victory of the ruling party was not won solely because of this free Wi-Fi, but it made some contribution. And secondly, service providers are able to see business opportunities and improve a corporate image, and government expenditures helps the industry with research and development, and it reduces uncertainty when companies hesitate unsure whether or not to start new Wi-Fi products and technologies. For example, according to the KOIT, Wi-Fi 6 products adopted for the public Wi-Fi earlier help boost the commercial Wi-Fi market. And finally, citizens are able to reduce their cell phone bills, and then since it does not require any password, it is easy to get access, and they have right to have a personal security. And according to the Newsbeam, unlimited data plan users significantly reduced from 72% to 55% of 5G users in 1 year.
And another element in the SCOT theory, closure. According to the theories, including the classic article written by Pinch and Biker 1984, closure is a mechanism and also a consensus among the relevant social groups. In December 2020, government, the Ministry of Science and ICT announced the project was finalized, saying that all the city buses, the number of the buses, then 35,006 buses, were now equipped with free public Wi-Fi. Based on the theory, we think the announcement was possible because all the relevant social groups saw then result as acceptable, rather than because each and every bus was confirmed to have free Wi-Fi. Because according to the Korean Bus Association, we did some research, there were already more than 35,006 buses as of November 2020, more than like 109 buses. Also, as the theory states, closure is not permanent. Since December 2020, there have been already more than 200 new buses, and according to some passengers, some buses don't have free Wi-Fi yet. Because these are 3-year projects, the first year project in 2018 will expire at the end of this year, which does not mean the project will be finished, but it will be updated and upgraded. It will bring about a new series of negotiations and discussions and possibly some conflicts. Wider social context was not much discussed in the original article by Pinch and Biker in 1984, but it soon became one of the major elements in the theory. In this time, obviously, we can think about COVID-19 pandemic situation. COVID-19 was one of the major drivers for the free Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi in the case of Korea. Nearly everything went online with the new norms such as social distancing. So to deal with the pandemic, public Wi-Fi had a growing need. For example, they coined a new word, untact, which is a combination of the prefix un, opposite, and the word contact. However, for the same reason, the free Wi-Fi in buses was less utilized than expected because the public transportation was avoided due to the COVID-19. There was another question when they started the project. The question was, will the free Wi-Fi in buses help commuters to use public transit, abandoning their own personal cars? That question also became hard to answer for the same reason. People did not use public transportation as much as before. This is a list of our references. Thanks for listening.